I'm better in being in spaces that I feel that I can cultivate the landscapes that make sense for success. And so it's even less about disruption and more about let's just do another way and then let people see that other way. So it's like modeling the behavior you think could be another option, right? It's in its cheesiest pop culture sense, it's Tyler Perry's acceptance speech a few years ago at the BET Awards, and I won't lie, I don't very often watch stuff like that, but sometimes you're flipping and then someone's there and the speech strikes you. And I literally watched this as it was happening. It wasn't even like a YouTube thing that I saw later on, which I think was Jesse What's His Face speech, which I saw later on social media. But I saw this and I was like, wow, because I'm the usually judging Tyler Perry for the Medea work and not really taking much of his stuff seriously from that because it still contextualizes him for me. But when he accepted this, it was kind of a governor's whatever big award, all of you who are there, Oscar so white, trying to change the academy, I just decided I didn't have the energy for that. I just was going to go create my own table and then set that table to represent the diverse people who I want to hear those diverse stories. And so this was him talking about launching his studio in Atlanta. And so for me as a museum and culture professional, I'm interested in that. How do we create another lane? And I think, especially in the Canadian cultural landscape, it is so small compared to the mammoothness of the European or the size of the American. It's tiny, and our identities are so complicated here because of migration and settler communities and just the way we understand our identity in the context of where colonial threads are connected, how we talk about our indigenous communities and that heritage. It's just, it's so layered and complex that sometimes you can even forgive people of their willful ignorance about things. Sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes, because it is a complicated narrative. And so for me, creating things like the process of being lucky enough to create my museum, to be like, let's create a museum in a different way. Let's not figure out, or let's not decide that it has to be a big building with a bunch of stuff. What if you just started with the community stories, and let the stories be the driver? And what if that meant you didn't have to live in one space? What if it meant you popped up and, you know, people were like, let's try it. And sure enough, it's a thing. And now people are looking at that model and allowing that idea of your institution shouldn't be the driver. If you're actually doing your job as a cultural organization, the community you serve should be the driver. So if you flip that switch and start with the community, oh my God, look at what's possible. Like all of a sudden, you don't need one curatorial voice. You could have multiple curatorial voices. And that actually suddenly, it's less difficult to create or have these exercises in performative equity. You know what I mean? It's like actually you just do it. It's like stop talking about it and just go do it and try doing it differently.